What will you be doing after graduation? Want to ace that next job interview? I'm Kristen Bingham, and I'll tell you how.
Coming up, I'll tell you about a new Student Life Center, which will bring together all of the campus's exercising facilities and outdoor programs.
A law that would require parental permission for minors every time they want to tan. We have Dr. Sam Leachman in the studio to tell you more.
And the University of Utah is taking action to eliminate online pirating on its wireless network.
All this and more coming up on Newsbreak.
From the campus of the University of Utah. News produced by students for students.
Good evening, I'm Rosie Nguyen.
And I'm Todd Patton. Copyright infringement has been a problem in the United States and worldwide. On January 19th, the U.S. government took action against the alleged illegal file-sharing website Mega Upload. The University of Utah has new plans to eliminate illegal file sharing on the campus wireless network. It's a new software called Audible Magic.
We're required to receive notices from lawyers or companies that are looking for file sharing software or music that is illegally shared from the university. And we get about 4,000 of those emails a year. We do find it on school computers, but 99% of the time it's a personal device. Right. We do have software that we're implementing on the wireless network coming up here in the next month that will actually block the illegal file sharing.
KID says the problem isn't rampant amongst students, but that it's certainly still an issue. The IT department estimates the 4,000 emails that it receives each year pertaining to illegal downloads should drastically decrease by 90%, with only 2 to 3 notices per week, when Audible Magic is put into use next month.
While the IT department is making changes online, there are other changes taking place on campus. The university announced with a unanimous vote that the search for its next president is over.
Dr. David Pershing has been named the 15th president of the University of Utah after a year-long search. But what made the former senior vice president of academic affairs stand out to the search committee and board of regents over 80+ applicants?
Because of his broad experience in the university, his knowledge of the university, his knowledge of the local culture, his knowledge of the state. He's worked with all of the other presidents of higher education in the state of Utah.
Working next door to presidents of the past familiarized Pershing with the heightened standards the U has acquired since the last presidential search in 2004.
Our expectations for the type of candidates that we thought would be in the pool were a little bit higher. We're a different university than we were 7 years ago. The Pac-12 is one big part of that, but the quality of the students is increasing, and the challenges of higher education are a little bit different now than they were even 7 years ago.
His leadership on campus is just one of the factors that secured the nomination for the familiar face, but most say it's his proximity to the student body that make him an ideal fit.
He's got a vision for the future that is, I think, very much aligned with where the Board of Regents and where members of the legislature and the governor want to go.
Among President Pershing's first orders of business is enhancing the undergraduate experience and increasing graduation rates. He has openly supported many legislative initiatives, one of them being the 66% campaign. For more on that, here's Tiffany.
Thanks, Chancey. I'm standing here at the new location of where the Student Life Center building will be come 2014, but this will cost students an additional student fee.
Building for the new Student Life Center will begin on the old women's softball field. This $42.5 million project has been on the ASUU docket for 12 years, only gaining attention in 2007 once again when the State Building Board approved of construction and for bonding. Nothing has been done until now because of a stipulation in the legislation requiring the U to raise $15 million in private funding before they could begin building. Student bonding is essentially a loan in which students are going to have to pay down with an introduction of a new student fee. The student fee is at $65 for now, but ASUU President Neela Pak believes that it will go down. But for less than a monthly gym membership, students can enjoy a state-of-the-art life center.
We're the only school in the Pac-12 who doesn't have a student life center, which sounds crazy. And this isn't a kind of keeping up with the Joneses game of if the Pac-12 has this, we need to have this, but it's just, I feel like it's one of those basic amenities of student life is this recreation center.
Some of the amenities the Life Center will have are 5 sport courts, 2 cardio and weightlifting areas, an indoor track, and a climbing wall. Reporting for Newsbreak, I'm Tiffany Justice.
Along with the Life Center, the 66% campaign will aim to invest in higher education. The campaign is a statewide one. The goal is to have 66% of Utah's workforce holding post-secondary degrees by 2018.
Currently, only 35% of Utah adults hold bachelor degrees, and a smaller 10% hold post-secondary degrees. Less than 44% of college graduates find jobs relating to their field of study. Career Services at the U is trying to increase that number.
Career Services helps you answer that one question. What on earth will you do after graduation?
Career Services is basically a one-stop shop for students whenever they start on campus.
Career Services offers their service in any job search aspect, including exploration, conducting job searches, writing resumes, and interview skills. Registering for the service is easy, not to mention
it's free and it takes less than 30 seconds. And the way they do that is by going onto our website, which is just careers.utah.edu, clicking on Sign Up for Services, create a profile in our jobs database, which is called uCareerLink. Our interview schedules are posted there, and when students are ready, they can simply sign up for one of the practice interviews.
one of the best features about the services are the practice interviews.
Practice interviews can help students prepare their questions effectively and really make them feel more comfortable. I think that interviewing can be a very intimidating process for students.
And what's Pat's view on how these services pay off in the long run for students who take advantage of them?
Well, we certainly know that students are getting jobs, and that's the best success available, actually.
Gaining the skill and confidence you need. And remember, it's all free.
Career Services is located on the 3rd floor of the Student Services Building. For more information, visit our website.
Ashley Hall will be talking to the lead dermatologist working on the bill that will limit minors from tanning beds when we come back.
Welcome back to Newsbreak. The current law requires minors to have parental consent before using a tanning bed, but a new bill could prevent minors from using tanning beds altogether. Here's what some had to say about this new bill.
You could get a sunburn outside as easily as you could from a tanning bed, so I don't really understand what's wrong with that.
I don't tan. I don't believe in tanning. I think it's bad for your skin and it's really unhealthy. I think that there should be a lot more strict laws about how often minors should be able to tan.
You know, if a 13-year-old wanted to go in, I think that's wrong. I don't think they should be. I think their skin is still sensitive and developing. So I think it's a great idea for a bill. I'd be willing to go down to 16, but anything below that I would support in banning and not letting them go at all.
According to the American Cancer Society, skin cancer is the most common type of cancer, melanoma being the form that claims the most lives. Last month, Senator Pat Jones proposed a bill that would ensure that those under the age of 18 could no longer utilize tanning beds. However, the latest update is that the bill is being substituted. The dermatologist who is working closely with Senator Jones on the bill is live in the studio with us. Dr. Leachman, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. You're welcome.
So, I know that the bill is no longer going to completely ban minors from tanning. Can you tell us what it's now going to do?
Well, the idea is that every time an individual under the age of 18 wants to have a treatment at a tanning salon, that their parents would have to be there present to provide informed consent, which means receiving education on the risks associated with tanning bed use at the same time. And they'd have to have that every single time they're going to have a treatment.
What education do you think that minors and their parents both need to ensure that minors maybe don't want to tan?
Well, I think that there's sort of two aspects to tanning. First is the skin cancer risk that you just told me about, and that can be life-threatening if you happen to get a melanoma. But the other thing is photoaging, and it's pretty ironic that some of the people who are the most concerned about being beautiful are going to the tanning salon to become beautiful, and yet that exact thing, that process is what's going to make them prematurely age, their skin look like leather, their skin be older than it needs to be earlier.
What compelling reasons do you have that you want the bill to be passed?
Well, I guess, the hardest thing for me as a physician is seeing these beautiful young women struck down in the prime of their life. They basically come in unexpectedly. Now they have melanoma, and that can affect whether they decide to have children, whether they decide to get pregnant again, all sorts of things, lifestyle issues.
Thank you, Dr. Leachman. The bill will be presented to the Senate Health and Human Services Committee on Thursday the 2nd at 2 o'clock at the Capitol Building, room 250, and that will be open to the public to attend. Back to you.
The Vietnamese American Student Association was founded in 1986. It was discontinued, though, in 2009 because of the absence of a leader. Now, 3 years later, the student organization is back.
We were devastated actually, and just completely disappointed because we felt that, anything in the community that can be strong and to continue our heritage or our culture, it has to be through the younger generation.
VASA has been absent from the U ever since, until last summer when one student decided to restart the student group.
And I'm like, hey, you know what, I always wanted to do that, but because I never had anybody I knew that wanted to do that, I was afraid and nervous to start it. But since now I know some of my fellow officers wanted to do that, I'm like, hey, let's do it, let's restart it, and you know what, let's try to make a difference in the Viet community.
VASA focuses on Vietnamese traditions, but welcomes and encourages members of all ethnicities to attend their meetings, activities, and events in an effort to preserve the culture.
Another thing worth preserving is the arts. Students in the College of Fine Arts are encouraged to express and explore their creativity, but the students in Arts Tech program say their creativity is being limited.
The Arts Technology minor and certificate is a common supplement to the new media major, and while a majority of the classes are located here in the Fine Arts Building or the Marriott Library, the core capstone class required for all graduating seniors is located somewhere else. The capstone class is a required part of the Arts Technology program in the Department of Arts and Arts History. The class encourages students to combine all of the skills they have learned throughout the program to produce a final project. Students in the program start their classes in media labs with individual computer workstations. When the time comes for the capstone class, students make the big move from this to this. The Film and Media Arts Building is a warehouse-like building just north of the Fine Arts Building.
When our students go out into the real world, they may not necessarily have the most high-tech space to walk into. They may have a warehouse. And if they have experience seeing what that could be like and gathering, sculptured media spaces or found objects, that's really what we want to see as a creative push for our students.
This space, it's sort of like a studio where you go to and you create and you just make it your own. So even though it seems barren, I think it has a lot of potential for the students to create work in.
There's no anything in that big empty space. This is supposed to be the biggest class for my senior year, and I'm supposed to create an art project in a room with nothing. I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to create my best work because I'm not in a classroom that I feel I can utilize my skills to put my best foot forward.
It actually is a great challenge because the students are always, we always have a computer student, and so the interface between us always feels like I'm kind of jumping over a chasm of the computers, and so in some ways I'm really excited to just be sitting around a table with people having real conversations.
The faculty and students of the College of Fine Arts are preparing for this year's capstone showcase at the end of the semester, located at the Fine Arts Media Building. Reporting for Newsbreak, I'm Chloe Wynn.
College of Fine Arts says it's currently seeking for donors to renovate the building, but even with new blueprints, there will still be empty spaces for the purpose of creating and displaying pieces of art.
The softball team is another part of the university that hasn't been getting the attention it deserves. With their season starting next week, Ben Wilson gives us a preview into the team. Ben?
Thanks, Rosie. Let's talk some University of Utah sports. Coming up, we'll recap men's and women's basketball this past week. We'll also recap gymnastics, but first we look forward to softball season. Gets underway this week.
The softball field here at the University of Utah is blanketed in a layer of snow, but that doesn't mean that the softball season isn't right around the corner. Practice is underway, and the Utes are preparing for their first season in the Pac-12, which gets underway February 10th. The Conference of Champions is home to last year's national championship team, Arizona State, and is also home to 7 teams ranked in the preseason top 25 AP poll. To compete in the Pac-12, the University of Utah softball team will have to rely heavily on the help of senior pitching ace Janira Nilsson from Blanding, Utah.
I'm very excited. It's a privilege to me just to play with these girls that I've been like, when I was little, I was like, oh my gosh, UCLA, I want to play for them, and ASU and U of A. I've always gone to their camps, and then finally it's like I'm right there with them playing the sport that I love, and I'm playing with girls that love the exact same sport. So it's a great experience too, and just a privilege, and I'm just honored to be on this team and be with these girls that I love, and the coaching staff is amazing, and senior year is it's my last shebang, so I'm just going to give.
Those girls will certainly have their work cut out for them this season going into the Pac-12. In other sporting news, men's and women's basketball struggled this past week. Both teams had games against Oregon and Oregon State. Both teams lost their games against Oregon and Oregon State. Oregon State, on the men's side, is coached by Craig Robinson, the brother-in-law to President Barack Obama. Michelle's brother's team cruised to an 18-point victory over the Utes. Not all of the teams are struggling at the University of Utah. Women's gymnastics is rolling. The Red Rocks had a big meet this last weekend against the Georgia Gym Dogs. After defeating the BYU Cougars in the meet before for the 30th straight time to end the month of January, the Red Rocks rolled with 14,900 fans viewing the event. The atmosphere was electric on Friday night. The Red Rocks trailed and needed a near-perfect floor routine to finish from their final 2 routines, and with 9.75s from both routines, they edged out the Gym Dogs by 0.200 hundredths of a point. For more information on the Red Rocks and everything else University of Utah Athletics, log on to the University of Utah Athletics webpage. For Newsbreak reporting on sports, I'm Ben Wilson.
Thanks, Ben. For a recap of this episode and more to come, visit us at newsbreak.utah.edu.
That concludes this episode of Newsbreak, the show by students for students. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.